Imagine sitting down for breakfast and someone places this in front of you: a handful of raw sugar, a spoonful of salt, a liter of soda, and a pile of heavily processed snacks. You'd probably push the plate away immediately. We all inherently understand the biological cost of a meal like that, a massive serving of outrage, crisis, and anxiety, often before we even get out of bed. On the left, we meticulously track our physical inputs, counting calories, logging step counts, and measuring sleep. But on the right, representing our daily media intake, there's a complete void. We are totally blind to the highest volume intake of our lives: information. Because information doesn't have physical mass, and because it doesn't leave crumbs on the table, we falsely assume it simply passes through us without consequence. But it does not pass through harmlessly. That information settles into our thoughts and quietly rewires our baseline. Our minds are constantly eating, and eventually they become exactly what they consume. The human brain is an active processor, reliant on raw data streams, but its built-in filter, the negativity bias, prioritizes threats. Watch how threat data bypasses normal logic, triggering an instant alarm. Modern algorithms exploit this, flooding the system with crises until the processor completely bottlenecks. The physiological outputs of this hijacked state are highly predictable. We experience chronic stress, elevated anxiety, and a severely weakened emotional baseline. Being informed about the world is a healthy function, but living in a manufactured state of constant alarm is a complete systemic failure. When our smartphones become the first thing we see in the morning and the last thing we check before bed, we hand over our most precious resource, our attention, directly to these algorithms. By allowing algorithms to act as the master of our attention, we biologically program ourselves to perceive the entire world as one perpetual crisis. So what happens to our cognitive output when we actively select our data rather than passively absorbing it? This graph illustrates the difference. The erratic top frequency represents algorithmic scrolling. Below it, the smooth wave shows the mechanics of reading a book, forcing the processor to slow down. Similarly, a curated music playlist harmonizes these wavelengths, establishing a stable cognitive baseline. Even the conversations we choose serve as external mental nutrition. Intentional, challenging discussions encourage actual growth rather than feeding endless cynicism. Upgrading these inputs requires the deliberate curation of the media we consume and the people we surround ourselves with. Cultivating a healthy mental diet physically stabilizes our psychological outputs, replacing emotional fragility with real resilience. And the outputs of our mental processing do not stay contained within our own minds. They inevitably leak out into our external environment. You can see how this spreads in this network map, tracing a linear progression of consequence. Reading a single encouraging book calms an individual's mindset. That calmer mindset improves an interaction with their family, and that family interaction ultimately influences the broader community, lighting up adjacent nodes in a cascading sequence. To start that sequence yourself, you can run a 7-day mental diet audit. The goal is simple: consciously replace your default digital consumption with highly intentional choices. Before you consume a piece of media, ask yourself one filtering question: will this nourish me or merely occupy me? Just as your physical health is defined by what you feed your body, your reality is entirely constructed by the information you repeatedly feed your mind.